12 on my wrist and 20 on my neck, bitch. You know what I'm saying? It's really nothing. And I really got the bars, so it's really nothing. Thanks God ain't this fucking bass. And get this camera on my fucking...
At this point in his career, Frank Ocean has cemented himself as one of the most successful artists over the last decade. In his 10-plus year career, he has quite a few gold and platinum songs, 2 platinum records, and even won 2 Grammys. And outside of the music space, Frank Ocean has continued to be successful, starting his own jewelry company, opening a nightclub, a radio show, and even dabbling in film. He's easily become one of the most sought-after names in the music industry, and despite all of his success, he still decided to turn down most of the spotlight. Understanding how this level of success has shied him away from the spotlight is something really unique to me, so today we're going to look back in his career all the way to the beginning and see how Frank Ocean sabotaged his own fame. So really quick, I'm going to give a quick history lesson on his career for anybody that's new to Frank Ocean. After moving to LA from Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina, Frank Ocean signed to Def Jam in 2009 as an artist and a ghostwriter. He was working with acts like John Legend, Justin Bieber, Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Kanye West, just to name a few. A quick note for those who don't know, he did work on Watch the Throne, receiving credits on Made in America and No Church in the Wild. And during this time, he would also meet Tyler, the Creator, joining his creative collective Odd Future. They honestly need an entire movie dedicated to them, so let me know if that's something you guys want. But anyways, back to the story. Upon joining the group in 2010, he would quickly work with Tyler on his first studio album, Goblin, making an appearance on a fan favorite track called She, which gave him basically his entire fan base and his young career. It would be after that in 2011, he would gift his own fans with his first solo project, Nostalgia Ultra. And this project is full of melancholy vocals, retro production, beautiful melodies, but I won't go too deep into it. I'm just saying, if you haven't heard it, I would highly, highly, highly suggest you go listen to it from the very top to the bottom. It is a great project. Cuts like Swim Good and Novocaine became staples to give him his first mainstream nod of approval, and that kind of led him into his next project. And following the success of Nostalgia Ultra, he would go on to release his first studio album the following year with Channel Orange. The project gained critical acclaim immediately, and this set him up to be one of the hottest R&B acts at the time, even winning GQ Rookie of the Year and proving that he was more than just a ghostwriter and an Odd Future member. This ascent would continue with his Grammy performance in 2013. He would not only perform Forrest Gump for the Grammys, but he would get 2 wins that night, one for Best Urban Contemporary Album for Channel Orange, and one for Best Rap/Sung Collaboration for No Church in the Wild off of Watch the Throne. Fast forward to 2015, and between the Odd Future related features and singles, Frank was teasing fans with a new tape for his sophomore project, a double tape titled Boys Don't Cry at the time. This ended up turning into one of the biggest finesses of all time in the music industry, in my opinion, and this turned into Blonde and Endless that came out in August of 2016. If you don't know that story, I would highly suggest you go read up on it. It is literally a story about how Frank Ocean finessed north of $20 million out of Def Jam by getting out of his label contract. But outside of that release of Blonde, it's been a relatively quiet time for him. We've seen Frank deliver some singles like DHL, Chanel, Cayendo, Moon River, and a couple more. But if you look at Frank Ocean's discography post Blonde, it won't show you the versatility of his uncredited work. Whether it's him ad-libbing on a record, background vocals, rapping, or even singing in Spanish, he has this far-reaching ability with artists ranging from Jay-Z all the way to Rosalia, really, if he wanted to, and it's quite impressive. But unlike the others, as time has shown, Frank Ocean has seemed less inclined to indulge his audience with that kind of presence and being fully there, always just bits and pieces. When asked in his 2019 GQ interview if there were any misconceptions that people had about him, he said this: "With some pop stars, the idea of them is maybe more balanced or fully formed. I have a dozen magazine covers, X amount of interviews, a daily influx of media. There's a way you want to be in the visual press, although you could potentially be misrepresented. When you're completely minimal with media, there's a lot of pressure on whatever one thing you're doing. The stakes are higher. Social media helps that, because you're fully in control and can message that how you want." His sporadic engagement reminds me of an unfinished Playboi Carti project. We'll always get bits and pieces, we'll get a leak here or there, something random here, always strategic, but nothing ever fully. He's kind of chosen this private life over fame, taking his creativity into his own hands and delivering the image that he wants. Not too many interviews, selective outings, a whole lot of speculative press. That's just how he is. Something that I did find really unique about his brand, though, is that his absence has become his best friend. It keeps us fans on our toes, so when things like Blonde Radio gets announced, the music world stops in its track and revolves around him just because he is a man of few words. But back on track, it seems that his interests are all over the place. Ventures like opening up his own jewelry company and his intentions to work on a film with A24 have popped up as new muses for him. It seems that as time has passed, Frank Ocean has grown fond of doing what he wants, whether that's musically or not. Whether it's a one-off single, a movie, jewelry, a gala, or even opening a nightclub, as I mentioned earlier, he doesn't have to be overly focused on music to be on his brand. But more so, he's an artist, and the art is respected by the fans, and that's what separates him from the pack. And that's okay. He hasn't conformed to what his fans want, which is music, and he looks to devote his time and attention to being creative versus what the music cycle wants, what hip-hop or what R&B wants, or what the music industry is seeking from him. He never really fit that mold, and he stayed true to that creative purpose that he constructed, and it helped him at the end of the day. No matter how you want to swing it, the idea or the concept, Frank Ocean has been rather uncompromised since the start of his career, and I think Steve Lacy describes his progression perfectly when he says this.
I change, you change, why would one stay the same? That's no fun, you're strange, so strange, if you choose to remain the same.